I'm gonna show you 5 keys and ways to make sure you're always the most confident ball handler on the court. Okay, so all 5 of these things are gonna revolve around making you comfortable being uncomfortable, but also expanding your skill set. So that way, no matter what happens in a game situation, you'll be able to react. So one of the first keys is being able to be explosive out of different leg positions. Coaches and skills trainers like myself will often teach, okay, we're gonna do a move this way, we're gonna step here, we're gonna lean our hips in the chest, all that kind of stuff. And those details are great. But the game isn't perfect, neat and tidy, and everything gonna work out exactly that way so that fake's gonna work the way you want it to. And that's a theme you'll see with a lot of these 5 keys. But one thing we're gonna need to be able to change is the stance that we're coming out of when we attack. So a simple drill you could do is just get creative, get into different leg positions. You can go longer, you can go wider, you can go narrow, you can go super wide. You can have your hips and your chest leaned a certain way, and you can pay attention to knee angles. You know, you can angle more internally rotated. I can be more externally rotated. And from those positions, just work on exploding to the basket so you're comfortable moving quickly from those positions. So no matter what position you find yourself in games, you can attack. And of course, work on attacking both directions from that. And we don't just want to think about being able to explode left and right forward, but also think about exploding maybe laterally, sideways, right? Each direction, exploding back at angles, every way that we could think of. Next thing you want to be able to switch up is foot and dribble timing. So a lot of times when you're running, you'll be taught to have the opposite foot of the hand that's dribbling hit right around the same time as the basketball, or have the basketball hit right before that foot hits. But we can also work on having the ball hit right before the same side foot hits, or at the same time. Or you could play around with on a move like, say, the Iverson cross. Normally you would step and then cross over, but you could play around with step, pause, then cross. Or we can cross, then step. That's the cross jab. Or we can step and then step with the other foot, then cross. So you can play around with just running or walking and playing around with that dribble timing. Take existing moves and change that footwork timing, or take multiple steps. Or you could even do something as simple as jab, and one time I gotta try to synchronize the foot with the ball movement, and the next time I'm gonna hit, then step, like this. Another key to be confident in games is to have our ball handling down. Now, the free workout pinned to the comments will help you with some of that footwork stuff as well as ball control. This will also help you though. There's 3 main things you'll want to put your focus into. Number 1, being able to hang that ball as long as you can, and then at the last second, redirecting the basketball. So I can let it hang, wait till it gets inches from the ground, and then get into a crossover, hang inches to the ground, get into an attack dribble, hang inches from the ground, get into a behind the back, hang inches from the ground, reverse between the legs. I can go crazy with just about any dribble you could think of to get comfortable with really extending the air time of that dribble, both up top here, but also on the way down, being able to keep my hand on the ball and still manipulate it. Another thing you want to work on is being able to manipulate the ball in air. So having the basketball with the left hand on the right side is a great place to start to really work on different types of manipulations in the air and having what I call air control over the basketball. So you start here, and then you can try to get it into behind the back. Here, try to wrap it all the way back to the same side. You can come from here, between the legs. Here, reverse between the legs. Or you can have the ball with the left hand on the left side, inside out between the legs. Cross the opposite leg and under it. Wrap it all the way behind the back. Try to wrap it all the way back to the right side if you can. And you can get really uncomfortable by bringing both those concepts of waiting for the last second to make a direction change and or those air manipulations, and bring them together by waiting to the last minute to get into those, and then add one more piece, which is a change of height and speed. So we can come from this and get into a low kill dribble behind the back. You can see I kind of bobbled it there, right? And that tells me I'm getting out of my comfort zone, which is key. We want to get uncomfortable in our practices, so in games, things slow down, and we're comfortable being uncomfortable so we can still remain focused and relaxed and confident, and we'll have more skills that we can bring into the game. So play around with different air manipulations, waiting to the last minute, getting in from that different move into different types of flow dribbles. Could be the same hand, could be the opposite hand, and a different dribble for what you're gonna get into with that opposite hand. One of the most confident ball handlers you're gonna see in games is Steph Curry, and a lot of it is because some of the off-season training stuff he does, even some of it he does in season, and a lot of it works overloading the senses and the mind, but also a lot of it works on an active offhand, which is another key to be confident in games. If you have an active offhand to keep defenders' arms away, or just, use it to protect the basketball, that's gonna be key. And if you have your offhand occupied by things like cones, I'll give you some more drills in a second, that forces you to rely more on your weak hand, or even the strong hand for that matter, and just being able to control that basketball with one hand. So that way in games and times when you need to pick up the ball with one hand, you can do that. When you have to have that offhand active and do all the work with the dribbling hand, you'll be confident, and it'll help put your focus on something else other than the basketball, so you can do moves like they're second nature, which is what we want in games to be confident. So some good drills you can do for this with cones is picking up cones, setting them down, touching cones, and especially doing this stuff with some speed will improve your confidence and control with that handle and get that offhand active. So think about different ways you can mix this up, and you can see how it's changing my movements, making me shift different ways, and get creative with this stuff. Come up with your own drills. You can have some fun with this and get more uncomfortable in practice, so in games you're more comfortable and confident. Another thing that works really similarly to this is tennis ball drills. You can do stuff off the bounce, you can catch it in the air, you can throw it out so you have to use more footwork, you can add dribble moves like between the leg, you can go behind the back, you can throw it out there and attack to the rim, and a whole bunch more. I'll link you a video at the end. We'll give you a bunch of ideas for tennis ball drills and cone drills. Fifth thing you'll need to be comfortable in, and actually I'm gonna give you a sixth, is you're gonna want to have some go-to moves that you can count on, because that's gonna help you a ton with your confidence. And two, you gotta get some practice in with actual defense, because the only way you're gonna get confident with defense on you is to play with defense on you. Here's a video with tips for beanie defenders. Here's a video with some go-to moves. Here's the video with the cone drills, the tennis ball drills. Again, the free workout pinned to the comments will help you with your handles, athleticism, and being more confident in games. I'll see you in that free workout next.